Plane on a conveyor belt. A controversial question. But can it actually fly? Hey everyone, Red Rebel Jeff Jones here, and in this video I want to talk about a controversial question that exists within the aviation industry, and that is plane on a conveyor belt. Now before I get into it, please like and share this video to give it a boost, and subscribe to the channel if you like the content that I make. Okay, so first off, let's actually pose the question. What is the question with this? The question is, if a plane is attempting to take off on a runway that is itself a conveyor belt running in reverse, matching the plane's speed, can the plane take off? It's a question that stumps many in the industry, and it's really fascinating, because even people who know the physics can't seem to wrap their head around this question. So let's break the question down a bit. When we say, can the plane take off on a runway that's a conveyor belt running in reverse matching its speed, what do we mean exactly? What is the core point of the question? The core point of the question is, can the plane actually move forward? Because if it can move forward, it can get enough lift over the wings to allow it to take off. So it's not a question of, can a plane get up enough speed to take off, but can it actually move forward? So what is the answer to this question? The answer is yes, the plane can take off normally. And when I say normally, I mean it doesn't take any extra takeoff distance. So the conveyor belt doesn't actually make a difference. But that does actually pose two questions. Why doesn't the conveyor belt make a difference? And why is it so many people, even those in the industry, believe that it can't? Well, it's all about the question. So when many people hear the question, can the plane take off on a conveyor belt that is running in reverse matching its speed, they interpret the plane as being the same as a car. And superficially, there's similarities there. There's wheels, there's an engine that helps move forward, and it's more usually human operated. But this interpretation is very it's wrong. It doesn't really explain the situation. And that is, the reason for that is because where does the power from the engine go to? On a car, it goes to the wheels, which rotate, and then them rotating using friction on the ground pushes the car forward. For the plane, that's not how it moves. The wheels on the plane are freewheeling. So where does the power of the engines go? So to break it down, a jet engine, or even a propeller engine, actually does the same thing. It takes in air and pushes it out the back at speed. And using Newton's third law of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. When you fire that exhaust out one end, it pushes the plane forward. And it's because the whole thing of the wheels being freewheeling is what makes the difference. Or to be a bit more specific, no difference. Because the wheels on the plane will spin up to quite a high speed. actually twice the speed of the plane itself, because it is taking the speed not only of the plane moving, but also of the conveyor belt moving in the opposite direction. But because the wheels on the plane are freewheeling, that doesn't affect the plane. Because the conveyor belt doesn't have an effect on the air that the engines are using to create thrust, the conveyor belt doesn't affect how a plane moves forward. So a plane will move forward, and then when it reaches its normal takeoff speed, in terms of itself, not ignoring the conveyor belt, it'll take off normally. Both use friction to move. A car and a plane both use friction to move. But they use different kinds of friction. A car uses friction with the ground, and a plane uses friction with the air. Now, I think it would be wrong for me not to include the experiment that the MythBusters did in 2008. Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman, they did a couple of experiments actually. One, they did an experiment with a small model plane, and they first tried it with a treadmill. But the treadmill was too short. The plane did move forward on the treadmill, but it fell off the end. It didn't have enough room to take off. So what they did, they got a long sheet of paper, put the plane on that, and then they used, I think it was like those Segway things that you lean forward to make it move. Adam was moved that in one direction, pulling that sheet of paper along, and the plane was on it, trying to take off in the opposite direction. And it did. So the small scale showed the concept of the answer of this question, that it can take off. Then they did it full speed, full size. They got a small propeller aircraft, and it had a takeoff speed of, I think it was 25 miles an hour. And they had a truck pulling a long top in the opposite direction at 25 miles an hour. And so that was the conveyor belt essentially. Now the pilot of the plane for the experiment believed, and I quote, that the plane would just sit there like a brick. He took off with the normal takeoff distance needed. And he was very surprised by that. So the pilot they had got the question wrong. Now, that experiment wasn't perfect. I understand that. But it did demonstrate the point that the conveyor belt didn't have an effect on the plane. The plane could move forward without any hindrance. And because it can move forward, it can take off. So what do you guys think? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. And if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. And do not forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. This has been a bit of a different video. It's what I wanted to do because I'm fascinated by aviation. But it's also a controversial question in the industry. When the MythBusters tackled it, there was so many letters talking about this, about why it would take off or why it wouldn't take off. It's a really fascinating discussion, and the people who, even when they're in the industry, they know the science of it. The people that get it wrong, they're not stupid, and so I think it's incorrect for anyone to believe that they're stupid or anything like that. It's not that stupidity, it's difficult to grasp the issue with the question. Because the question has the implication that a plane is the same as a car, when it isn't. So it's very hard to you have to remove that implication. You have to identify it and remove it before you can properly answer the question. So it's a really interesting question. And it's probably A controversial question that probably won't go away.